Let's talk about scaling an online community. It's one of the hardest things to get right. How do you go from a small, tight-knit group to a massive, thriving ecosystem without it all falling apart? Well, it's not about just getting more members. It's a complete architectural challenge. Today, we're diving into the blueprint for turning your digital neighborhood into a bustling metropolis. Okay, let's get into it.
So, the difference between 2,000 and 30,000 members. It's literally night and day. On one hand, you've got this cozy neighborhood. You know people, you're kind of the star of the show, providing most of the value yourself. But on the other hand, you're running a metropolis. It's a complex, self-sufficient ecosystem, and your job is no longer to be the main attraction. Your job is to be the person who keeps the whole city running. This is the core transformation we've got to unpack.
All right, so the very first and honestly the most critical step is a fundamental shift in how you think. You have to stop being the hands-on mayor, shaking every hand, solving every little problem yourself. You have to become the city architect, designing the systems that allow the city to grow and flourish all on its own.
And this just nails it. At 2,000 members, you're the main content creator, the main moderator. You're basically the main everything. To get to 30,000, that just has to stop. Your new job is to build a stage where other people can create amazing value for each other. You facilitate, you don't dictate. So, who are these other people?
Well, let's look at the numbers. This is the classic 99-1 rule, but applied to a big community of 30,000. You've got 90%, a whopping 27,000 people who are basically consumers. They'll read, they'll watch, but they don't really participate. Then you have 9%, or 2,700 people who are contributors. They'll drop a comment, like a post, engage here and there. But the magic, the real secret sauce, it's in that tiny 1% slice, the 300 creators.
So here's the takeaway, and this is huge. Your entire strategy has to revolve around identifying, empowering, and celebrating those 300 people. They're the ones who will post every day, start the interesting conversations, and answer the questions. They are the engine of your entire metropolis. If you build for them, everybody else benefits.
Okay, but as you grow 15 times over, how do you make sure the vibe doesn't just get lost? You need what's called a scalable culture. And culture is super simple. It's what people do when you're not there looking over their shoulder. You have to write down your values, your rules of engagement, your core principles right now so that member number 25,000 acts with the same spirit as your OGs.
Okay, mindset shifted. Culture is codified. Now for the fun part. How do we actually get all these new citizens? It's time to build the growth engine, the superhighways that bring a steady stream of people right into your city.
One of the most powerful ways to do this is with a structured ambassador program. Don't just ask people for referrals. Create a whole career path for your biggest fans. You start them as advocates, rewarding small actions like inviting a few friends. The most engaged ones level up to become champions, getting cool perks like exclusive access. And the top tier, they become partners, getting real skin in the game with a share of the revenue. This turns growth from a chore into a really exciting game.
Beyond just referrals, you can pull people in with amazing content. First, build what you might call a knowledge graph. This is basically a killer library of your community's best info, organized into these evergreen guides. This turns your community into a go-to resource that shows up on Google and pulls in new people organically. And second, you have to use social proof. There's nothing more powerful than seeing that a bunch of your friends are already in the group. It's an instant credibility booster.
Now, with thousands of people pouring in every week, you face the single biggest threat to scale: noise. It gets so loud. Without a plan, your bustling metropolis can very quickly become an unlivable, chaotic slum. So we need to design for structure intentionally.
And this quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? Imagine trying to have a real conversation in a stadium with 30,000 people all yelling at once. That is exactly what a single general channel feels like at scale. It is pure, unusable chaos. So what's the architectural fix? The solution is a really cool concept called fractal organization. Just think of it like a city. A city isn't one giant messy blob, right? It's broken down into boroughs, then neighborhoods, and even specific streets. You got to do the exact same thing for your community. Systematically create smaller, focused groups where real connection and actual conversation can happen. And here are the tools to actually build it. First, when someone joins, guide them into smaller micro-communities based on what they're into. Don't just dump them in the main square.
Second, use an algorithm to create a trending feed that automatically brings the best content to the top, so people don't have to wade through all the noise. And third, use some simple automation, like a welcome wagon DM that checks in on day 7, making people feel seen even in a massive crowd.
So, to manage a city of this size, you just can't rely on gut feelings anymore. You need a control panel. You absolutely have to master your data to understand the health and the flow of your community.
So what's one of the most critical numbers you need to be watching like a hawk? This one, 48 hours. Why? Because the data is crystal clear. If a new member doesn't have a meaningful interaction within their first 48 hours, they are incredibly likely to churn and never come back. That is a critical window you have to track and act on.
And another vital piece of data is the health of your founding members. Your original 2,000, they're the ones who carry your culture in their DNA. If you start seeing them go inactive, that's a massive red flag. The soul of your community is at risk. A pretty simple fix? Create a special legacy member status to honor their contribution and keep them involved as mentors.
Okay, let's put this all together into a clear roadmap. As you can see, the strategy really evolves with your size. In the early days, from 2,000 to 5,000 members, your main goal is structural hardening. This is when you appoint your first lead mods and set up those first 10 subgroups to beat the chaos before it even starts. Then, from 5K to 15K, you hit the gas on incentivized growth. Perfect time to launch that ambassador program we talked about. As you get bigger, from 15K to 25K, the focus shifts to brand authority. You can host these mega events that create buzz and require a +1 invite, which turns your members into recruiters. And finally, as you're approaching that 30,000 member metropolis, it becomes an ecosystem play. You start integrating external tools, maybe even marketplaces, becoming a truly self-sufficient city.
So what does it all look like when you finally succeeded? You've built a self-sustaining city. Your role as the frantic, hands-on architect is, well, it's pretty much done. Now you get to become more of a quiet observer, like a refinery manager, just keeping things tuned up.
And your new job is to run through this simple checklist every single week. First, can this task be automated? Second, can this task be delegated to one of our community leaders? And third, is the quality of conversation, the signal-to-noise ratio, still high? It's all about optimization and maintenance now, not constant building.
And this right here, this is the finish line. This is what you've been working for. You know you've built a true community, a real digital city, when you can step away for a day and you come back to find that members have answered each other's questions, hosted their own little meetups, and created immense value for one another, all without you having to do a thing.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. As you look at your own community's growth, are you being an intentional architect, laying down the roads and the systems for success? Or are you just kind of hoping that a random crowd of people will magically organize itself? The choice and the outcome is yours.